napaka-exciting ng ating topic. Nakalimutan ko, February na nga pala. Ang bilis po ng panahon. Kaya pala tayo may heart-to-heart series. So our topic for this evening is the 5 keys to authentic romantic love. So again, papakilala lang po ako. Ako po si Paula Cristina Gawat. I'm married to Nads Gawat, who creatively created my backdrop. Napaka-talented po ni Nads. We have a 3-year-old daughter. Her name is Yumi. So I believe you're also streaming on Facebook. So good evening everyone who's joining us online on Facebook. Na-pressure ako bigla. Okay, just a background. I had my first choices seminar, or what we call Life in the Spirit seminar, back in 2003. By the way, I will not be sharing the slides yet. What I'll do is I'll be sharing some lessons learned and my journey in finding authentic romantic love. And then at the end of my talk po, I'll be sharing the slides showing the summary of key points. Okay lang po ba yun? Can I have a thumbs up? Okay. Okay. So again, I was mentioning I had my choices seminar back in 2003. I was first year college then. And that was the time I said yes to this relationship with Jesus Christ, with God. And I'm sure you will agree with me, when we say yes to Jesus, we are saying yes to making him the Lord of all areas of our lives, including romantic relationship, love, and sexuality. And God really dealt with me in these 3 areas. I remember just a short kwento, hindi pala, medyo mahabang kwento ko, brothers and sisters. So, I remember one dinner time with my family. I was in high school. In-announce ko sa kanila, sabi ko, mag-iipon ako ng maraming boyfriend. Ulat sila sa akin, I will have as many boyfriend as I possibly can. So they just laughed at the idea, but in my heart, I was set out to do that. Mag-iipon ako ng maraming boyfriend. Why? Because I love the feeling of being courted, of feeling of being in love. Ayan, masaya, di ba? Masaya yung pakiramdam. On the other side, I have at a young age, I have a thorn in the flesh. Like Paul said, at a very young age, elementary days, my senses towards sex was open. And this is due to adults around me, not filtering what they watch, they read, what they talk about. So sex is something I desired in the wrong. Having feelings, the pleasure it gives on ships, and to engage possibly in sexual sins. So, yun yung yun ang naging motivation ko noon. But God must have and really does know the motivation of my heart, that along the way, brothers and sisters, things just kept happening that pulled me away from situations where I could have entered into a relationship or I could have engaged into sex. In hindsight, I knew it was God's hand protecting me. Before I could even have my first boyfriend, I heard this Christian sexuality talk in Christ Youth in Action. So that was in college. It was, tumatak talaga sa akin yung yung talk, and I'll be sharing most of them in this sharing also. And it was so convincing that I made the decision to set aside exclusive relationship so I can give myself fully to God in service all throughout my college life and even after college life. So in the course of knowing and serving God, He led me to a journey of understanding how I view love the way I did before. The Lord led me into a journey of confronting my sexual sins. And God in His mercy brought me to a point of deliverance from my wrong view of love and from my sexual sins. Of course, that's not a one-time thing. Deliverance after deliverance after deliverance. It's a constant battle, but grace is always there to choose Christ, to choose His way of love. I'm sharing this, brothers and sisters, just to testify how God, in His mercy and kindness and love, did not stop working in me. And He's working for a long time until now po, to teach me what love and sex truly is about. So let me just share to you things God taught me. There are three things to remember when we talk about intimate relationships on authentic love. If you have your pen and paper with you, I'd like to encourage you to write some key points for better attention and memory. So ito yung first point. The right love at the wrong time is the wrong love. The right love at the wrong time is the wrong love. The wrong love at the right time is still the wrong love. Oh, natin yun. The right love at the wrong time is the wrong love. I said I love you to this guy because I felt he's the right one and gusto ko na nung forever with him. Ang problema lang, brothers and sisters, we were still third graders. So, it could not be the right love because it is still the wrong time. Ginawa ko talaga yun. The wrong love at the right time is still the wrong love. Some may fall in situations when they are personally ready. It is the right time for them. Kaya lang, may asawa yung ka-relationship. So clearly, it is the wrong love. In community, we are encouraged to discern. We are taught to discern about our vocation, or what we call state of life. So while I was in that season of discernment in 2011, I was 25 years old, so I feel that it's the right time. Mayroon akong crush whom I thought was also parang befriending me, musta, nagkaka-text kami. So I was tempted to entertain that budding friendship. Alam mo na kung saan mapunta. But I recalled and repeated this quote to myself. The right love at the wrong time is the wrong love. And I know that at that time, I was really still praying. And ayokong pangunahan yung Panginoon kung ano ba yung tawag niya para sa akin. So I decided not to entertain the relationship, the friendship. Sorry. The guy. So may kasamang kirot yun, and it was not easy to give up love, especially when the world says, grab it when it presents itself. So, teka lang for married brothers and sisters, huwag nyo nang tanungin, tama, right love ba yung napili ko? Huwag na po kayong magtanong, huwag nyo nang i-doubt yan. Of course, it's your right love. So I'm just referring to our single brothers and sisters. So when is it the right time for the right love? In that Christian sexuality talk by CYA, I learned that you are ready for a romantic relationship when you are mature in three areas. So emotionally mature, spiritually mature, and financially mature. At that time of hearing, of course, alam ko na hindi ako emotionally mature dahil samot-saring emotions ko, hindi ko alam i-manage. Tapos, I was just new in my relationship with God, so I know that I'm also not yet spiritually mature. I was in college, so I'm far from being financially mature. So that's why I challenged myself. I will focus first on things that will help me grow in growing and maturing in these three areas. So I avoided spending alone moments with guys or with men. Kasi sabi din sa talk, boy plus girl over time equals relationship. Totoo yun. Boy plus girl over time equals relationship. And sometimes, boy and girl alone in a private place may even lead to premarital sex, and we don't want that. So instead, I spent time with a group of brothers and sisters in CYA, where I developed and deepened healthy Christian committed relationships. And this is where I grew spiritually and emotionally. 12 years akong naging single. And those were the prime years of my life. It was all worth it. It was good to recall how God journeyed with me in those 12 years because in those years, God freed me from my favorite sins, from my sexual sins. He transformed my negative thoughts into positive ones. He moved me from one breakthrough to another. And God helped me confront personal issues in my life and more. And I believe in all these things, he was doing it to prepare me for something bigger, something greater. Be on the lookout, seek opportunities that God has set for you to learn more about yourself, about your faith, develop new skills, discover your God-given call, and allow God to show all these things to you while you are not yet carrying the responsibilities of having a husband, a wife, and children. So, I'm addressing the single. Kaya nga, ang tawag ay state of life. What is your state of life? When I was praying about my state of life, I was asking God, Lord, from a state of being single, what state would you want me to be in? Or what do you want me to pursue next? Is it still being single, like living a celibate life? Or is it to have a married life? So baka merong mga brothers dito na tapos na po mag-state of life discernment, pinagdasal niyo na yan, nag-dialogue na kayo ni God, sabi niya mag-move on na kayo, wag niyo na pong i-delay. Kasi baka yung state niyo ngayon, hindi na pala yan, yung will ni God. Nag-endorse lang ako now. Mag-move na kayo, brothers. So, at sa mga nasa state of singleness, you have this, you have to be in the moment because there is grace in being single. And you have to seek those moments of grace and make the most out of it. Baka this is the time for you to deal with your relationship issues, trust issues, financial issues, etc. Learn, grow, and reach your full potential. Become secure as yourself while you are still single. So, singleness, this is the second point. Singleness is not a stage, but a state. So, it is a state of life. The third thing to remember in an authentic romantic love is that love and sex are good things. Okay, so ito, kailangan ko ding tinulungan ako ng Panginoon, maintindihan ito. Love is good because it comes from God. In the Bible, it says, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God." That's from 1 John 4:7. Sex is also a good thing because God himself designed it and commanded it. In the Bible, it says, "As for you, be fruitful and increase in number, multiply on the earth and increase upon it." From Genesis 9:7. But when can something so good become something so wrong? When they are abused or misused, they become wrong. So, for instance, may props ako dito. This is a spoon. Can you use a spoon? This is for eating, di ba? Can you use a spoon to open the lata? Actually, kaya, no? Kung pipilitin natin, it can work. A spoon can work as a can opener. But eventually, if you keep on doing it, it will destroy the spoon. Why? Because you are using it for something other than what it's for. So same thing with love and sex. When we use it other than for God's purpose, and we destroy them. Love is misused when you do it with the wrong motivation. So like yung past life ko nga, di ba? What I wanted to do. Or when you just casually date, get into relationships casually without thinking of marriage or the ultimate end, which is family life. Sex is misused when you do it outside of marriage. So, dapat inside marriage. So we destroy love, the gift of sex, and we get destroyed in the process too. Meron ako dito ang heart. Tumatak sa isip ko tong analogy na to, no? Sabi, sometimes kasi people think paano mo malalaman kung siya na yung right one kung hindi mo i-try? Diba? Ba't hindi na lang try and try until you find the right one? The problem is when you think that you can try and try until you find the right one and still be whole after, medyo imposible. Because when we enter into a serious relationship, we kind of give that person a piece of our heart. And when we move to a next serious relationship and we give of ourselves, then we can also give that person a piece of our heart. And then the next boyfriend gets a piece of our heart. And then the next one until yung ating last boyfriend who becomes our husband gets this one. So tumatak sa isip ko yon, and the speaker said that the best gift that you can give to your husband is your whole self, your heart in one piece. So yun yung tinarget ko. So proud NBSB ako, brothers and sisters. No boyfriend since birth. Nads is my first and my last boyfriend. So, awa ng Panginoon. Okay. So, tatanungin niyo ako, Pao, ano ba yan? Naka-anim na relationship na ako. Paano naman yung puso ko, di ba? Ganyan na lang. Don't worry naman, my friend. Kasi God has always the power to make your heart whole again. If you bring it to Him, He can make your heart whole again. And in the same way, when we get married, sometimes our hearts also get tired. Minsan ako, brothers and sisters, lalapit din ako sa Panginoon. Lord, may mabibigay pa ba tong puso to? Pagod na. Parang parang di ko alam kung meron pang maibibira tong puso ko. And the Lord would just say, yes, you can still love because I will give you a new heart. And true, brothers and sisters, when you surrender your heart to God, He will make it whole again. Okay. Naiyak ba si Nads? Speaking of being whole, there's a famous movie, Jerry Maguire. May nakapanood ba nun sa atin? Siguro naman, Jerry Maguire. Yes. That's where you hear the famous line. Tom Cruise says to Renee Zellweger, "You complete me." Kilig na kilig ka naman habang pinapanood mo yan. You complete me. And this you complete me idea makes people think that you are not complete as a person until you find the codependency between spouse. And when you come into marriage thinking that the other person ought to complete you and he doesn't and she doesn't, then you get up frustrated in the marriage. Brothers and sisters, unless you are already complete with God prior to marriage, you will never be complete even after you get married. Or if you are married and you feel incomplete, so then this is the signal and this is the calling for you to make yourself complete in the Lord, not to your partner. Because the truth is, marriage, nakikita ba? Marriage is not two half people becoming whole. So it's not two half-filled glass becoming whole or puno, but it is two whole people becoming one. The tendency is when you enter marriage and thinking that the other will complete you, anong mangyayari? You will just keep on, yung isa na simot na, kailangan ko na uli, kailangan kita, yan. So, no one will ever be filled. Okay? So, we need to be complete. We need to be filled process in the Lord. Minsan dasal ko rin yun, kasi alam ko, Lord, punuan mo si Nad sa mga pagkukulang ko. Meron din tayong laging naririnig na kwento kay Father Dave Concepcion, kung napapanood niyo siya, tungkol sa isang lalaki, lumapit sa kanya, sabi niya, Father Dave, ang lungkot-lungkot ng buhay ko. Gusto ko nang mag-asawa para maging masaya naman ako. Ay, iho, sabi ni Father Dave, wag na wag kang mag-aasawa. Mabuti na ngayon pa lang, ikaw pa lang ang malungkot. Sabi, kung nag-asawa ka, dalawa na kayong malungkot. So, yun yung joke ni Father Dave. So, it just says that, we do not get married just so we can be happy. We get married because it's God's call, it's God's will for us. So, the first key to authentic romantic love is actually what I mentioned. Marriage is not two half people becoming whole, but two whole people becoming one. So again, we get married because it's God's call for us. But not everyone is called to marriage. I mentioned that when you pray for your vocation, there is single blessedness, there is religious life, there is married life. So we are supposed to pray about our state of life, what God wants us what God wants for our lives. Is it still, kailangan pa bang ipagdasal yan? Sure naman ako na talagang para ako sa pag-aasawa at pagpapamilya. The answer is yes. I have friends, brothers and sisters who, after learning this practical message and in obedience to God, they have set aside their exclusive relationships, meaning they've separated first, sought God about their vocation and state of life. And some even searched in congregations, religious congregations, and after having prayed, discerned, and decided on their state of life, that was the time they were open to dating, and most of them went back to the relationship that they have left. And napakagandang story lang sa tatanungin natin, hindi ba waste of time lang yun? Doon din naman palang ending. Of course not. If you ask them, it was all worth it. There is confidence, there is peace and blessing in knowing that you are doing God's will for your state of life. So asking God about your state of life is inviting God's blessing into your chosen state of life. How did discerning for my state of life blessed me? So first, I've grown so much aware of myself, kasi maraming pinakita yung Panginoon sa akin habang pinagdadasal ko yung state of life ko. I have so many tendencies, my needs as a person, my emotions, my limitations, my fears, about family life, trust issues, how I view men, and how I view myself. And God brought all of this to my attention during my discernment period. So hindi ako nagmadali sa pagdadasal tungkol sa aking state of life kasi this is a big decision that we are making, and it's a life-changing decision. It took me 6 months. Hindi niya naman kailangan ganun kahaba. But it's good to take time to pray about your state of life. How God led me to a decision of having a married life is He made it clear to me that it was my choice and that I should not be afraid to choose whichever, but that I simply choose based on how well I know myself. So ganun pala yun. God just wanted me to know clearly myself so that I can make an well-informed decision. And I'm just happy because when I chose married life, it came with God's promise that He's got my back. And He has never stopped blessing me through Nads, my very loving husband, of course. And truly, along with God's call is God's blessing. This is the key, second key to authentic romantic love. Along with God's call is God's blessing. So claim that. Of course, it's not all that lovey-dovey, and that all fantasy type of romance. Nakwento ko na to before sa Pathways Ortigas, pero isi-share ko lang ulit sa inyo how God answered my prayers. So there was one time that I was praying for Nads, specifically, ganun po ako magdasal. May pangalan, may mukha. So I was praying for Nads. Pa-emote pa ako nun sa siya. Hormone lang yun. So kailangan mag-exercise muna ako. Lord, sige na. Paligawan mo na si Nads sa akin. May sumagot sa akin, brothers and sisters. Sabi niya, will you accept him? Yes, Lord, I will accept him. So, paliligawan mo na ba? Yan, takbo-takbo pa ako. Umabot na dito yung buhok ni Nads. Joke. Haba ng hair. So, sabi ko, yes, Lord, I accept him. Paliligawan mo na ba? Medyo, sabi niya, may follow-up question si God. Sabi niya, will you accept him and not attempt to change him? So, medyo napatahimik ako. Hindi pa dapat, gagawin mo siyang better, i-change mo siya, ganyan. Pero, sige, Lord, I will accept him and not change him. Tapos may third pahabol question pa si God, tatakbo pa rin ako. Sabi niya, will you accept him and not attempt to change him and change yourself instead? Parang medyo napatigil ako, parang, Lord, bakit parang mas mahal mo si Nads? Medyo na-hurt ako kay God doon. So, nakadalawang round muna ako sa Quirino Grandstand bago ko binagyan ng sagot si God. Sige, sabi ko, Lord, sige. Hirap nito Ako pa yung mag-a-adjust, ako pa yung magbabago. Ano ba yan? But anyway, sabi ko, sige Lord, I will accept Nads, not even attempt to change him, and I will change myself instead. Happy ka na, so pwede mo na ba akong paligawan? Ganun. So brothers and sisters, that evening, Nads asked me out for the first time on a date. Okay, so yun yung first. So tuloy na. I really did not understood that time why God make me commit to those things. Alam mo yun, hindi ko alam. Bakit ba yung mga tanong mo, Lord? Nung second year of marriage na namin ni Nads, kaya pala. Doon ka na lang naiintindihan. Couples being made of two completely unique beings, different persons with different backgrounds, different personalities, habits, and all, they will always have something to fight about. Mahirap pa sa aming mga babae, may hormones pang nagpapakomplikado ng aming mga emosyon. Diba? And me as a wife, I always find something I wish would change, Nads would change to make me feel a certain way. So when we think love is all about how the other makes us feel, the emotions that we get, the loving emotions, medyo delikado yun, because for sure, the other will sometimes frustrate you, disappoint you, make you sad, hurt you, make you feel unloved, ganyan. So if our only basis for making commitments in the area of romantic love are our emotions, then it will not be sustainable. Because our emotions, our feelings, they are fleeting, they are ever-changing, they come and go. So we have to remember that love is more than just feelings, more than just emotions. Love is first and foremost a decision, a commitment that whatever happens in good times and in bad, I will choose to love this person and I will stand by him. So that is called commitment. Madaya si God medyo napaka-specific ng commitment na pinagawa niya sa akin So when I face challenges in our relationship, kami ni Nads, God reminds me of that commitment I made with him. I will accept Nads, I will not attempt to change him, and I change myself. So Meaning I have to discover what tics me, what provokes me, bakit ako nagre-react ng ganon, and then I have to learn to manage and control myself, my emotions. And what I find most effective, brothers and sisters, is that when I bring my feelings, my negative feelings, my emotions, my thoughts at the altar of the Lord and just surrender them to God so that He can give me grace to choose to do what's the most loving thing to do. So like Kuya Robbie and Ate Alan, we bring it to prayer so that God can give us the grace to choose to do the most loving thing to do. So while so ano nga yun? Love is not just an emotion, it is a decision. That's the third key to authentic romantic love. Okay, so moving on, while your spouse is not meant to complete you, he or she must at least complement you. And knowing yourself would give you a good idea of the kind of partner who will complement you. So for singles here, get to know more yourself, your likes, dislikes, your strengths, your weaknesses, what brings out the best in you or the worst in you, etc. In our community, we make a list of personal traits of the person who will most likely complement us. We call it essentials, list of essentials or the non-negotiables. And the preferences, the good to haves. Hindi na ako nag-list ng preferences. When I prayed about my list of essentials during my state of life discernment, I had 5 non-negotiables. 1, that he's a godly man. Second, that he is generous. Third, that he is industrious. Fourth, responsible. And 5, loyal. And I found all this in Nad, so thank God. Knowing yourself makes you know what you want. And this is the 4th key to an authentic romantic love. Just a disclaimer, when you already know what you want for the right person for you, you ought to make sure also that you prepare yourself to be the right person for someone too. Yun yung tinuro sa akin ni God. Sabi ko, Lord, siya na ba yung right one? Siya na ba yung right one? Ang sagot ba naman sa akin ni God, ikaw ba? Ikaw na ba yung right one? Mas mahal talaga ni God si Nadze. So I have to make use of my singleness to learn to be the right person for someone. And also for married couples, it's good to continue to get to know. Who would like to know? Sa amin ni Nads is this book, Personality Plus. So by reading this book, I discovered that I'm a choleric and Nads is a sanguine. And then natutunan namin ni Nads na a choleric complements a sanguine. So, complementary pala kami talaga. And it's worth trying, mga kapatid. One more thing is this 5 love languages. So this will help you understand how to love your partner the way that he or she wants to love. So these are good reads. Personality Plus and love language. So what's the 4th key? It's knowing yourself or knowing your spouse helps you love your spouse. And last and the most important key in an authentic romantic love is that you know your center. So where is your relationship centered upon? Na ang ganda kasi narinig natin din ito sa sharing ni Kuya Robbie and Ate Allen. So where is your relationship centered upon? Is it on the dictates of the world? Anong trending dyan? Is it on the events or circumstances of your life? Is it centered on you? Or is it centered on your partner? The world and events and circumstances in this world often change. We change. So I change, Nads change. If our relationships are built on these changing things, um, changing persons, ganyan, our relationships cannot be stable. So we need to build our relationship on something that is changeless, reliable, and dependable. And that is only God. The Bible says Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Build your relationship on God. Make Him your center, the center of your relationship. Kaya kami din ni Nads to remind us that God is our center, which shows a wedding ring kung saan merong middle ring. Ayan. That middle ring represents God. That God is the center of our relationship. So I'm about to end, brothers and sisters. I hope you are still okay. I'll share my slide. So to give a summary, here's what we need to remember to guide us in pursuing authentic romantic love. The right love at the wrong time is the wrong love. The wrong love at the right time is the wrong love. So, mga singles dyan, tandaan natin ng mabuti ito. And especially, singleness is not a stage in your life. It is a state. So, it's not just something that you just want to get out of. It's a state of being single. So make the most out of it. Get to know yourself, get to know God more, get to know others. Love and sex are good because they are from God and God designed them for His purpose. The 5 keys to an authentic romantic love is first, marriage is not two half people becoming whole, but two whole people becoming one. Along with God's call is God's blessing. So it's important that we are discerning. Ask God, Lord, what is your call for me? What is the state of life that you want me to pursue? And love is not just an emotion, but a decision. It is a commitment. Okay. It's important also that you know yourself well. So bring that in prayer, brothers and sisters. Allow God to show you what He sees in you and what He wants you to work out on. And know yourself such that you get to a point where you know what you really, really want. And knowing ourselves, this is an ongoing process, and we don't stop knowing and understanding ourselves because we really never get to that point of fully knowing ourselves. So keep on discovering, learning about each other, learning about yourself. And last, authentic romantic love is centered on God, who is a timeless and changeless reality. Practical tips for singles who are listening this evening. So get to know God. You can do this, and you need a supportive environment to really get to know God. You need a group that shares the same faith as you. And if you feel that, Pathways helps you in your growing relationship with God, then stick with Pathways, get connected, and actively engage in Pathways activities, which are all meant to help you deepen your knowledge of God and deepen your relationship with Him. Get to know others. So as human beings, I believe we are meant to connect with others, build meaningful friendship, and establish committed Christian relationships. So this is a challenge, especially now that there is this pandemic. But let's not allow the pandemic to stop us from getting to know others. So being in pathways and even just spending short time in discussion groups helps us, discover more about God, more about ourselves, and more about others. So take this online activities as opportunities to get to know others. And I hope we can do it more when we are already gathering face to face. Okay. And please take risks for your faith. So I'm addressing now the singles in this room. When you are single, you have greater freedom. Tama ba? So we are free to take risk because less people will be affected by our decisions. So this is the best time to grow in your career. This is God. And because when you are married, wife, and your children, you cannot change this. Because your wrong decisions will, affect others and suffer the consequences. So number 4, and very important for singles, waste and invest your youth on God. Some people would delay and wait for the retirement years before they serve God. And our encouragement is for you to serve God when you are still young and you have more freedom to serve. Be confident that when you give your youth to God, God will take care of your future. What I would say to me, mapakanya na yung Panginoon. And like for me, I've been enjoying my relationship with God since I was 16 years old. And my first tithe to God was my 6 years of full-time missionary work in CYA. I thought if I had 60 years to live, why not give God the 10th of my youth to Him? And I've been so blessed, brothers and sisters. And God keeps blessing me in ways I do not expect and never even imagined. So while you still have the energy and the time, waste your energy and time on God. In conclusion, loving and serving God while you actively wait for singles, while you actively wait for God's perfect timing in the area of love and sex is the best way to go because this will allow you to experience greater fruitfulness in life. So that's all, brothers and sisters. Thank you. I prepared a discussion starter.